Welcome to Success Starts Within, the podcast for ambitious women who are ready to elevate their success, wealth, and confidence, and who are done with getting in their own way. I'm Kirsty, a subconscious and identity coach for women, and in this podcast, we're going to dive into the beliefs, blocks, and patterns that hold you back from being the woman you want to become, so that you can step into a life that feels abundant and alive. And my promise is that you're going to leave every episode feeling seen, inspired, and equipped with the tools to take your next steps towards the woman you're meant to be. So grab yourself a coffee or a glass of wine and let's get started. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about something that affects literally every single woman that I've ever coached, every business owner that I know, and this is something that has massively affected me, and that is fear of judgment from people that we know. So this isn't the strangers that you see online. This is not the trolls. This is your dad, your brother, your friend, your colleagues, the girls that you went to school with 25 years ago that somehow still live in your head rent-free. And this episode is for you if you've ever dimmed your light because you're scared of what someone in your past might think. So let's get into what judgment actually is. We talk about it as like it's this big, scary thing. But judgment is simply someone forming an opinion based on their beliefs, their fears, and their worldview, not yours. And most of the time, the judgment we fear is not even about us. It's a projection of what they put onto us. It's a mirror of what they're afraid to do or what they wish they had the courage to try, and they put it on us. But here's something that we've never talked about before. Judgment hits us so hard because biologically, it used to mean that we're in danger. So back when we lived in tribes, being judged meant that we were excluded, and being excluded literally meant death because you weren't in that tribe to be protected. So when someone raises an eyebrow at you, for example, or you imagine a friend thinking, who does she think she is? Why is she wearing those clothes? Your brain reacts like it's being kicked out of the tribe. And this might sound crazy, but this is science. This is exactly what happens. So this is why your heart races, you might feel a bit sick, you get that contraction in your chest, maybe you freeze, and then you start to second guess everything. It's because your nervous system thinks that you're in danger. So most of the fear of judgment that we have experienced and we have now has begun in childhood. And we've all had those moments where we say something in class and people laughed. I remember that's happened to me. Or we've been left out by the mean girls. I had a group of friends, a couple of people that I would play with, and it was like you were friends with them one day and you weren't the next, and you just never knew where you stood. You also had like them talking behind your backs as well. And there was times when you felt humiliated for getting something wrong. So now you fast forward into adulthood, when you speak up in a meeting and you get shut down, or you share an idea and someone dismisses it, or you try something new or wear something new and people comment, these moments start to add up and your subconscious mind decides that, okay, it's safer to be quiet, it's safer to blend into the background, it's safer not to stand out, so I'm going to play small. And one of my clients experienced something very similar. So she wanted to start a products-based business and she was so excited. Like, she produced the most amazing products. And she wanted to create this business because she wanted something that would work around her family and she wanted to have another baby. And she had everything mapped out in her mind. But she physically could not start. Like, she kept hesitating. She was delaying. She had these products, but she wasn't doing anything about it. She wasn't getting herself out there because she was so worried about what other people thought. And when we spoke through and we worked out, the biggest fear of judgment she has would be what her dad thought. And this brought up, and this is the thing with judgment, you know, it brings up so many other emotions. It brings up embarrassment, awkwardness, self-doubt, not feeling good enough, which is why fear of judgment and having that worry of what other people think is such a big issue. So it's never just, oh, what will they think? It's everything that the judgment triggers. It's the old emotions, the unhealed memories. It's the beliefs that we've built over the years that still live in our body. And because in that moment when you're just about to post something, maybe you're going to go on your stories or you're going to launch business and you talk about what you do, your inner critic will start kicking up and saying things like, people will think you're stupid, stop embarrassing yourself, you're not qualified for this. They'll all be talking about you, don't make a tit of yourself. And so your body, in that moment when your mind starts to think those thoughts, your body reacts as if it's in danger. So the impact that this is going to have on your business is huge, because when you worry about what people think, it's going to cost you opportunities, money, confidence, creativity, visibility, growth, and it's even going to impact your business itself. And when women play small because they're scared of being seen as too much, too confident, not good enough, and women play small because they're scared of being seen. They're scared of being seen as too much, too confident, not good enough. And I just see this all the time. It's just women dimming their brilliance to avoid someone else's opinion. And it has such a huge effect on the rest of their lives unless they do something about it. So I want to ask you something. If you didn't give a shit about what anybody thought, what would you do differently in your life? Like, what would you be saying yes to? What would you be wearing? How would you dance, laugh, speak? What dreams would you finally start taking seriously? Because we don't realise how controlled we are by other people's opinions until we really start to think about it. So this is a little bit of a personal example. Maybe a little bit of a silly one, but I am totally obsessed with selling sunsets. I think I love the energy, the glam, the confidence, the business women, the tenacity. I love it all. And I would love to rock up at the school gate in a pair of heels. But do I? Absolutely not. Because in my head, people are going to think, what is she doing? She works from home. Why is she in heels? She looks ridiculous. So instead, I put on my trainers and I just conform. But deep down, I think if I really didn't care about those looks and those little sort of snide comments, I would be rocking up in my red high-heeled shoes and like I just stepped out of the real estate office in LA and I'd feel good about it. But you know what? We laugh about this, and this is exactly how subtle judgment is. It shapes who we are. It shapes how we show up and how much of ourselves we allow the world to see. And when I started my journey as an entrepreneur, I knew that I had to be the face of my brand and that people would be buying from me. But for 2 years, and I mean this, 2 years, I struggled to speak on Instagram. And it's not because I didn't know what to say. It was because I was terrified of what people I went to school with would think. And that's not even a joke. This is me being completely honest with you. There were 2 girls in particular, and 2 girls that I have not spoken to or probably seen in about 25 years. But they were controlling how I showed up. And I don't know whether this is because of the way that they made me feel. You know, it was an unpredictable relationship. They were mean. One minute they were nice, one minute they were very judgmental, and you had to have your tie a certain way. You had to have your skirt a certain height. So it was very much like your relationship was conditional with how you looked or who you were seeing that week at school. You know what it's like when we're at school. We have so many different boyfriends. But yeah, they dimmed my light for years without me even realising it. And they don't even know this. And they probably don't even think about me. That is the thing. I allowed them to live in my head this whole time when they probably don't even haven't even thought about me. So as an adult, they were still doing the mental and emotional things to me, but I was living it in my adulthood as if I was back when I was at school, because that is what happens with the nervous system. It holds experiences and trauma within our body. And here's the thing, right? So going back to my client, the one that was afraid of her dad's opinions, she felt the same way about her old school friends that she hadn't seen in years. And they do say that your coaching clients hold up a mirror to you, and you draw in clients that have had the same experiences as you. And it is so true. And it made me realize how common it was and how bothered we really are about people that we haven't seen for so long. Because the part of us that is still that younger version of ourselves who felt embarrassed, rejected, or unsafe is still trying to avoid the pain that she felt. So it manifests in these adult years by us not posting, telling us like, no, you're not allowed to speak up. No, don't put yourself out there. And this younger version that lives inside of you, she thinks that she's protecting you, but really she's stopping you. She's stopping you from becoming the person that you need to be and the person that you want to be. So how did I overcome the fear of judgment? The first thing that I did, and the biggest shift that I experienced, was that I realized that I was holding myself back. I was holding back my gift, my information, my motivation, my drive to support other women to feel better about themselves because of worrying that people might think that I look stupid, or my makeup wasn't very good on that reel, or that I said something that wasn't right. And that was the biggest impact for me, was just remembering that because I am playing small, because I am not speaking up, it is stopping other women to access a way of feeling better about themselves. And that reframe was huge for me. Secondly, I anchored into my mission constantly. So my mission is I want to help as many women as possible to feel better about themselves. And I kept going back to that purpose. I kept going back and remembering that, because that always felt stronger than worrying about what these two bitches that I went to school with thought about me 25 years later. And the good thing about doing this work is that when you have this awareness, it starts to water down the feeling that you have in the first place. So this feeling of judgment from the two mean girls that I used to have started to get smaller and smaller, and it started to get a little bit ridiculous. And it got to a point, which was like the cutoff point for me, where I did actually say to myself, oh my God, have I been allowing them to, and me worrying about what they thought of me, stop me from doing all these things? And it was actually just, and I think the way my body released it was through laughter. And I remember the moment so well, and just remember thinking, what a dick. But it's not. You're not a dick. Like, it's, again, as I said earlier, it's a survival mechanism that our subconscious creates in order for us to play small, to make sure that we aren't laughed at, to be safe. So what I also did is I built the skill of being seen as well. So visibility, it's not just a skill, it's just about doing. And the more you do it, the better that you're going to get. And the more you speak on your stories, the more stages you talk on, the more conversations you have with women at networking events, the less you're going to worry about the judgment from other people. Because once you start showing up constantly and practicing and doing more of what you know you need to do in your business, the judgment doesn't seem to matter so much anymore. So the way that judgment shows up for a lot of women in business is quite scary. A lot of women will charge less because they're too worried that people think they're going to be too expensive. And a lot of people don't post because they worry about what the mum on the gate is going to think about their reel. Or they don't post because they worry about what their brother's going to say. And they hide their achievements because they don't want to look like they're full of themselves. They downplay their success because they don't want their friends to feel uncomfortable. And they won't just launch and do the things that they want to do because they're scared of scared of being seen as failing. So these tiny decisions that we have shape our entire business, and that shapes our identity. So here is what I really want you to take from today. People are always going to judge, but they're judging from their fears, their insecurities, and their worldview. And most of the time, they're not even thinking about you. You're just holding a mirror up to their own issues and their own thoughts about themselves. And the people that will judge you, they're not your people anyway. They're not paying your bills and, they're not part of your life. And let them do them and you do you. So I just want you to ask yourself again, if you weren't afraid of judgment, what would you do? And when are you going to start doing it? Because your mission and your business, your confidence, your future self, they are wanting you to stop playing small and start showing up as the woman you know that you are. So I hope that this episode has been helpful. Reach out to me because I have been there. Trust me, I have been there and I want to help you as much as possible. Thank you very much for joining me today. And remember that success starts within. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to Success Starts Within. I hope you're leaving today feeling inspired, grounded, and one step closer to the woman you're becoming. And always remember, success starts within. I'll see you in the next episode.